Hi, and welcome to the Banker's View from Sibos video series here in Toronto. I'm Joy Macknight, Deputy Editor of The Banker, and I'm here with Thomas Zeeb, who's CEO of SIX Securities Services. Thomas, thanks so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
What do you think are the main challenges in the post-trade space?
The primary one, I think, honestly, is relevance. We have to make sure that the post-trade infrastructure in particular can continue to be relevant to the banks and broker-dealers who are our clients. And that requires us to be a heck of a lot more proactive in terms of how we deliver services, but also how we define what our role as an infrastructure is.
Okay, and there's a lot of talk about the sort of disruptive element of blockchain. Do you think it's really going to live up to its hype in your space?
I don't care. No, I seriously don't. The reason is, I look at it from the point of view of a process and a business point of view. And if we're looking at how do we solve our business problems, whether it's a blockchain solution or it's a cloud solution or it's AI or it's something else, it really doesn't matter. We need to find ways to make sure that we address the issues, whether it's risk management, whether it's liquidity, whether it's speed, efficiency, cost, whatever it happens to be. And frankly, the technology that's used for that is less relevant. At the moment, I don't see a use case yet that has got any traction in the blockchain space. It's possible that the ASX case will show us something, but I think everyone at the moment is evaluating what is out there and whether it actually will solve a problem that actually exists.
Okay. And another sort of new development, or the end of a new development, is Target 2 Securities. Mm-hmm. And the last wave went live in September, but it's been a decade in the making. You know, do you think it's going to really live up to its hype in terms of the efficiency it's supposed to bring to the market?
It already hasn't. And I don't see how it can, because harmonization was never a problem in the pure settlement space. The T2S solution, such as it is still looking for the problem it needs to solve. If we wanted to solve problems, in particular in Europe, we need to harmonize the asset servicing side of the business, not the settlements. Settlements have always been relatively inexpensive, not as cheap as in the United States, but I don't think we're going to get there anyway. So, no, what we've created is an additional intermediary in the process.
And obviously there's been a lot of fintech disruption happening. Do you think it's going to, that these kind of small companies, fintech companies, are going to make a difference and make the market infrastructure maybe more efficient?
If you look at, how do you define a fintech? The market infrastructure in that regard is the ultimate fintech. And yes, we look at some of the smaller players, we look at R&D units and what other disruptive technologies are out there, but always as an enabler to what we're doing. So do I think that they can play a role? Absolutely. I think one of the biggest issues we have at the moment is still, how do you create the bridge between a new technology or a new way of doing something and the legacy platforms that we have in place that frankly work pretty well? So that's one of the big challenges we have.
Okay, and my last question is a Brexit question, which is really, do you think that Brexit is going to have an impact in the clearing settlement trading space, and what will that be?
I think it may. It's a little too early to tell because we don't know what Brexit is actually going to look like. And if the UK is able to negotiate reasonable access to the continental European markets, then that will obviously have a different case around it than if it doesn't. So it's very difficult to give just a generalized answer to that. I think in general our markets are already so global that the core elements of our business are transnational anyway, and it doesn't really make too much difference whether you deliver it out of the UK or you deliver it out of continental Europe or somewhere else. Cash will go where it's needed, collateral will go where it's required, and capital will flow wherever it gets paid for. And so I think in that sense we're truly in a global business. The boundary of the English Channel in that sense doesn't make a huge amount of difference.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your insights, Thomas.
You're very welcome.